Have you ever found something that wasn't meant to be found? Like maybe it was an old photograph buried beneath the floorboards, or a rusted key in the middle of the woods, a forgotten object that somehow felt like it was just waiting, just for you. Some people believe every object has a history, a memory, a piece of the people who once held it. But sometimes, those memories don't stay buried. Tonight's story isn't about gold, or jewels, or fortune. It's about a different kind of treasure. A treasure that should have stayed beneath the creek, sealed away forever. So, dim the lights, lock your doors, and if you hear something humming from another room, don't go looking for it. I'm Tanner, and this is Tales from the Ferry.
No nos deixis cair aquí teu pacient, mas livra-nos del mal. Amén.
Meet Myra and Eli. They had been together for several years now. They weren't married, just together in that quiet, old soul kind of way. They rented an old farmhouse on the outskirts of a Missouri town called Clay Hollow. It's one of those places where trees grow thick and fog sits heavy over it like it's a scene out of Silent Hill, which is definitely my kind of vibe. I love those vibes. It's almost like a Hoa 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 season, only without Edward and that dumb bitch Bella. Ugh, I'll find you one day, Edward. I swear. So, Myra was the kind of girl who looked at broken things and found beauty in them. Things like old medicine bottles, rusted tin cans, and pieces of porcelain plates. She would wander the woods behind the farmhouse while Eli worked long shifts at the local hospital. She would always tell Eli that the treasures she found once belonged to someone, like it had a past or a story of its own. In the farmhouse, in their spare bedroom, was this giant oak table Eli had made for Myra to keep her treasures on. It was beautifully crafted and made with love by Eli, which she received from him on their anniversary just a few months earlier. The table began to fill up with all of her findings: old coins, bottles, tin cans, etc. So Eli didn't mind this. He actually loved how she was filling up the table with the little things she had found. He thought it was cute how her eyes lit up with every little find. Sometimes he'd roll his eyes and say, "As long as you're not bringing home bones again." But, couples like that, simple, content, just trying to build a quiet life. One day in late spring, Eli was packing his lunch up for a long shift at the hospital. Myra was in the kitchen bagging some of his favorite potato chips. "What are your plans for the day, Myra?" "Oh, I'll probably just wander in the woods like I always do." "You belong in an antique store, not the woods and mud, babe." He grabs her face and kisses her on the head. She smiles and feels his warmth. "Hope you have a good shift, babe. I'll see you later tonight." Myra hands him the chips she had placed in the Ziploc. "Here, I know how much you like these." He smiles, nods, and says, "You know the food to my heart." Eli goes out the door and starts up the old pickup. He takes off out into the fog. Myra, who's still standing in the kitchen, is lacing up her boots. She takes an old canvas bag with her on her adventures while looking for new treasures, as you will. She walked down the old beaten path behind their farmhouse that led out into the woods. She had been down this path several times and never strayed too far from it. Today, she felt something pulling towards her, like an unforeseen force was making her go deep into the woods and veering off the path. She walked down a steep embankment and stumbled upon a creek. The water was flowing mostly, but had a few parts that were knee-high. She thought to herself, this is a perfect place to find some keepsakes. She began going through the rocks and sticking her hand into the water of the creek. The sound of thunder in the distance. Guess I better not take too long here, she mumbled to herself. She had found several pieces of porcelain, each piece with a distinct blue pattern on it. She began washing the pieces she had found off in the dirty creek water. A hint of thunder clapped in the near distance. She decided to walk a little further down the creek, hoping she'd score a full plate or what was left of one. And then just a glimpse of something sticking out of the sand barge about 5 feet away from her. It was half buried in the sand and mud, round looking. Perfect! She took the small shovel she had in her canvas bag and began digging around it. Once she uncovered it, she realized it was an old mason jar, covered in sand and dirt and feeling very heavy. She started to wash it off in the creek next to the sandbar, the water a little deeper in this place. As she was washing it off, she noticed that the jar is filled with water itself. Only dark, very dark water, with something in it. She couldn't quite make out what she was seeing under the water, as she was washing the mud and sand off of it. Another clap of thunder startled her, and in the reflection of the water, she thought she had seen someone behind her. She dropped the jar in the water, mud washing off of it perfectly. Then she noticed the black wax on it. This jar was sealed shut and covered in a thick black wax. That's a little weird, she thought. Another clap of thunder made her look up. I better get home before I get drenched. She placed the mysterious jar into her canvas bag and climbed her way up the embankment. Okay, so if I find a old mason jar in a creek bed covered in black wax, my first thought is gonna be fucking witchcraft. Like, I'm not gonna even touch it. Like, fuck that. On her way home, it began pouring rain. The storm just kind of came out of nowhere, although she'd been hearing thunder in the distance. She sat her canvas bag down on the kitchen table and began washing the dirt and sand out from underneath her fingernails, thunder rattling the panes of the windows of the farmhouse. As she was washing her hands, there's a big pop. She jumps. The light bulb in the hallway had busted. Great. She picks up the broom and dustpan and starts to clean it up. The hallway is dark without the light, and she feels as if someone is watching her. She looks down the hall and into her and Eli's bedroom. She thinks she sees something. As she's knelt down on the floor, brushing the glass into the dustpan, she sees movement. Her eyeballs are wide now. She feels tingles moving up her spine. Her phone suddenly rings and she jumps. Jesus Christ, I'm scaring myself to death. Wonder why Eli is calling. Hello? Hey babe, I forgot to tell you, I left some meat in the fridge for dinner tonight. Would you mind fixing something up for us? She chuckled a little. Something wrong? His voice concerned. No, nothing is wrong. I thought I saw something. Stay in those woods too long and you'll probably see Momo for sure, babe. Very funny. But yeah, I'll fix us up something good, babe. Love you. Be careful on your way home. Love you too, babe. Thanks. She hangs up the phone and goes back into the kitchen to put the shattered light bulb into the garbage. Her bag's still on the table. She opens the fridge and the smell of rotten meat hits her face. What the hell? Everything in the fridge was rotten, like it had been sitting there for weeks. How is this possible? I literally just went shopping with Eli 2 days ago. She cleans up the fridge and takes the smelly garbage out to the trash can. Dusk is settling on the farmhouse. The smell of earth and rain make her feel at peace. As she walks back into the kitchen through the side door, she notices a humming noise. She had never heard this noise until now, and it's faint. She looks up to the fridge and walks up to it. Great. No wonder why everything went bad. The damn fridge is going out. Later that night, Eli pulls up the driveway through the fog and the mud puddles. He makes his way inside through the side door of the kitchen. Hey babe, I'm home. She walks into the kitchen to meet him. Hey baby, I think we may need to get a new refrigerator. She kisses him as he puts down his lunchbox on the counter. What? Why? She points at it. Don't you hear that humming? Oh, that? Probably just needs some more coolant or something. No, babe. Everything in the fridge was spoiled. What? What are you talking about? We just got groceries 2 days ago. She shrugs. I don't know how, but everything was bad. Like, it was rotten. He walks over to the fridge and opens it. Everything in there was gone. Great. He slams the door. I didn't mean. He raises a hand and says, Babe, it's not your fault. It's an old fridge. Let's just go out for dinner. They returned late that night, and as they walked in, Eli asked Mira if she had found any treasures today. He was staring at the bag on the table. Oh, yeah, I did actually. Look at this. She pulls an old jar covered in wax from the bag. Babe, that looks like a swamp curse or something. Oh, whatever. Maybe it's some kind of old apothecary bottle. Like a traveling doctor's kit from the 1800s. Maybe, Eli said. More like a witch's pickle jar to me. Nonsense, Mira said. She walked into the spare bedroom to the oak table, Eli following behind her. She placed the jar down in the middle of the table. Your treasure shrine grows more and more by the day, Mira. I know, isn't it great? He shrugs. Let's go to bed. Mira is staring at the jar. The glass had fogged over at this point. I wonder why it's doing that, she says. Probably just the moisture, temperature change, or whatever, Eli said. But Mira swore the liquid inside was moving, and there were other things in the jar she couldn't see past the black liquid. Let's go to bed, babe. I'll call the landlord about the fridge tomorrow. Okay, yeah, it seems like that humming is getting louder. They go to bed as light rain starts to hit the roof. Thunder rattles the house throughout the night. A strike of lightning lights up their bedroom, and Mira suddenly wakes up, gasping for air. She's covered in sweat like she had been running. Her throat the driest she has ever felt. She looks over at the clock. 3:02 in the morning. She hears the faint sound of the humming fridge making its way down the hallway into their bedroom. She runs her finger through her hair as she lets out a few coughs. And then she hears it sounds as though as someone is tapping on a window pane or like on a piece of glass. She looks around confused. There's nothing in the bedroom. Eli is sleeping peacefully. The strike of lightning makes the room bright. She gets up and goes down the hall. She looks into the spare bedroom, and on the table the mason jar sits with all of her other treasures. The room lights up as lightning and thunder are overhead. She shakes her head and goes into the kitchen where the fridge is humming. She grabs a glass from the cupboard, walks to the fridge to get the Brita water out. She opened the fridge and the light flickered inside. and for a split second she saw something in the reflection of the freezer door. She feels something in there with her. The hum of the refrigerator changes, low and wet like the motor was breathing. Then the smell hits her. Thick earth, creek mud, moss left to rot in the sunlight. The kind of smell that clings to your throat. Then she hears something whispers, "Open the jar." She slams the door shut. Her heart is racing. And then the sound of something wet dripping, slow and deliberate. And then she sees it. Her eyes are locked on top of the fridge. A gray hand with long fingernails curling over the edge. She slowly looks up and locks eyes with it. The eyes are black and wet like oil staring straight at her. It didn't move. It's not breathing. It's just watch. The glass in her hand is shaking. She can't move. She tries to scream, but it's like she's lost control of her body. It was like invisible hands are around her nerves, holding her still. The thing starts to make its way down the fridge. It moves with a sick, boneless grace, joints bending wrong, fingers trailing streaks of dark moisture that trickle down the side of the fridge. Its body contoured downward, the spine arching as if it had to remember what standing meant. Its ribs are pulsating out, beneath a membrane so thin that she could see black water pulsating inside the body cavity. And with every slow inch it descended, the smell of the creek grew stronger, like something ancient crawling out of a forgotten current. Mira's knees are locked in place. The air is so thick that you can cut it with a knife. She could feel this thing pressing into her mind before it even touched her. The hum of the refrigerator pulsed in time with her heartbeat. The thing tilted its head, dripping black water that spattered onto her feet. When it opened its mouth, it wasn't breath that came out. It was a low, dripping whisper that seemed to call straight into her ears. Words she didn't even understand, but her mouth began to move with them, repeating them, lips trembling. The room then became dark, much darker than the night, until there was nothing. Mira! She gasps. She's back in the bedroom with the alarm clock blaring. Eli's standing next to the bed. She's covered in sweat. "Hey, I tried waking you up several times. You seem like you were having a bad dream." um, yeah, I was, I think. "Do you want to talk about it?" Eli asks. No, no, I'm fine. It was just a dream. I'm okay." "Okay, babe. I was worried for a second." "Yeah, I'm fine." She chuckles a little, relieved the nightmare's over. "I'll go into town and get some things for breakfast. How about waffles? Your favorite." "Yeah, that sounds great, babe. I think I'll take a shower and wash the bed sheets. They're soaked," Mira says. "Yeah, must have been one hell of a dream to get you worked up like that." "It was definitely something," she says. Eli kisses her forehead like he always does, gets dressed, and leaves the bedroom. Mira sits on the side of the bed trying to collect herself from the dream she just had, her throat dry as it was in the dream. She looks at the bedside table, turns off the clock. Then she notices a glass of water next to it. Did, did I get up and actually get that last night, she wonders, reliving the nightmare she just had. Was it real? Just then, she hears Eli gasp. "Mira? Eli! Eli, what's wrong? Mira, come here!" She runs out of the room and finds Eli standing outside the spare bedroom, his face whiter than a ghost. What's wrong, babe? What? Tell me." He lifts his finger up slowly and points into the room. His voice chokes. Look! She comes around Eli and looks into the room. The whole room has been rearranged. The table that used to sit on the wall with the windows was now on the opposite side of the room. The giant china cabinet now sat in its place. The entirety of the room had been moved around and rearranged, and all this furniture was very heavy and required at least 2 people to move it. She looked at her table of treasures, and everything was in its original place. Like something had literally lifted things up, moved them, and sat them down without knocking anything over. Shivers ran up her spine. Fuck, I'm getting chills from this too. And this was a dream I had, so can only imagine. Okay. Anyways, in the middle of the table, the mason jar sit. But around the mason jar, a thick black liquid covered the table. The jar had been cracked. The thick black wax was broken, and inside the jar, what looks like black sludge and globs of human hair tied together, a silver coin, and a human tooth. Eli storms into the room and grabs for the jar. Immediately throws his hand back. Ah! Fuck! What? It fucking burned me! You could hear the sizzle as soon as he touched it. Mira, we need to get rid of this thing. Now! Mira's eyes are wide and she can't move. Oh my god, what happened last night was real. What are you talking about? He brushes past her and goes into the kitchen to run cool water over his fingers. Look, I don't know what you brought home, but clearly something is wrong with it. We need to get rid of it, immediately. Mira agreed. Yes, let's get rid of it. I feel different. Eli glanced at her. Promise me you'll get rid of it tonight. I've got to work late, but I would like this thing gone by the time I'm home. Yes, I'll take it back where I found it, Mira said. Eli packs his lunch, kisses a smear on the forehead like he always does. I'll be home later. I love you. Please call me if anything is wrong. Eli takes off in the old truck down the highway, thick fog rolling in. The whole drive, he felt it was wrong to leave her, and he just kept thinking, what is this? What is happening? He pulls up to the hospital, turns the truck off, and sits. His mind is everywhere else right now besides thinking about work. I mean, fuck, mine would be too. All of a sudden, Eli's phone starts ringing. It's Mira. Hello? Babe, are you okay? It's not Mira's laugh. This laugh is more dark and ominous. And then a voice on the other line says, she opened the jar. Where's Mira? What do you want? Eli is clearly upset at this point. All of a sudden, the laughing stops, and all he can hear is Mira choking. The choke seems to be gurgled with a thick substance that he cannot see but hear. Mira! Eli turns the truck back on and hightails out of the hospital parking lot. His co-workers look concerned as he speeds out. Eli is racing down the highway through the thick fog, and he starts to see a shadowy figure on the side of the road every few miles. What the fuck was that? He turns on his high beams and almost hits someone else on the other side of the highway. Fuck. His phone's ringing again. The hospital is calling. Eli, this is Rebecca. Your coworker said you took off out of the parking lot like a bat out of hell. What's going on? I don't know. I know there's an emergency and I have to get home now. I know you said this is an emergency, but our protocol says, fuck the protocol, Rebecca. Mira's in trouble. Rebecca starts laughing the same way Mira was before. The dark, ominous voice on the other end says, you shouldn't touch what belongs to the water. Fuck you. He hangs up the phone and throws it onto the dash. Eli is starting to sob at this point. What the fuck is happening? Just as he's taking a wide turn just before their house, a dark figure stands in the middle of the road. Eli slams on his brake and turns to the right, missing the figure, overcorrects, and flips the truck. It flips at least 3 times till it hits an oak tree on the side of the road. Nothing but the sound of the unbuckled seatbelt chime is all that can be heard. Eli wakes at some point later. He finds himself on the other side of the truck. Glass is broken, smoke is pouring from the hood, the sound of the seatbelt ringing in his ears. He grabs his head. Blood is coming from it. He looks around, checking himself. He's hurt in no other way besides the gash on his head. He looks down the highway, thick fog rolling in, and sees their mailbox. Mira! He opens the passenger door because his door is caved in due to hitting the oak tree. He runs down the highway to their house. Running up the driveway, he's seeing their house. Almost there. He's still holding his head at this point, trying to get the blood clot. The house is still in pitch dark. No lights are on. He reaches the door by the side of the kitchen, throws it open. Mira! He screams, uncertainty in his voice. He grabs a towel from the kitchen drawer and puts it on his head. Mira! His voice cracking at the end. He sees a shadow in the hallway outside the spare bedroom. He gets to the door frame where he sees Mira on the floor, sitting there, rocking back and forth in front of the oak table. Mira, are you okay? We need to get out of here, now! Eli grabs her by the shoulders and tries to pull her away. Her weight is like a stone. Mira, talk to me, please, what's happening? She slowly turns her head to him. Her movements are jerky, unnatural, and smiled. But it wasn't Mira's smile. It was slow, wide, and terribly raw. The hum of the fridge then deepened into a growl. The lights flickered violently. The house shivered. Shadows slithered across the walls like black smoke. Mira's body convulsed. She falls to the floor, vomiting thick black sludge that spread across the carpet. Her eyes, which were once so bright, now dark and thick like motor oil. She looks at Eli and whispers in perfect mimicry, chillingly calm. It's hungry. Just then, her body seems to be grabbed by an invisible force and is levitating in front of him. What the fuck? The house is now alive, shaking and making moaning sounds that are distorted. The growl of the fridge so loud, Eli plugs his ears. The lights are getting brighter. Eli drops to his knees at the mercy of whatever this is. Mira's body, a lifeless doll, being contoured by this entity. Thick black sludge starts making its way down the walls. You can't have her, you son of a bitch! The entity laughs and picks Eli up by the throat, lifting him into the air. Her eyes, now fully black, thick black sludge coming out of every orifice of her body. Tears rolling out of Eli's eyes as he's dangled in the air by what was once Mira, her skin gray and cold, the smell of mud and earth. I've already got her, it says. Take me, he says. It laughs demonically. You fool! A sharp smile goes across its face, eyes darker than anything he's seen. Her fingernails are nasty, long, and sharp. The entity takes its claw and slides it across Eli's neck. Thick blood starts to pour out as he's gasping, levitating in the air. The room rattles. Everything was lifted like gravity had been lost. The light shines so bright, and then every light in the house explodes. The house goes dark. Silent. The next morning, heavy fog still wraps the house. A police cruiser pulls up the driveway. Reports came from the hospital where Eli took out like a bat out of hell, concerned about his safety and Mira's. Other reports of screams coming from the farmhouse that night were reported as well. Police go to the side door by the kitchen. The door is open. The house dark and cold. Thick black sludge covered the linoleum as they made their way through the kitchen. Almost like someone had been dragged through the house covered in mud and sludge. They make their way down their hall, the trail leading to the spare bedroom. Guns are drawn. Eli, Mira, they call out, but are met with nothing but silence. The cops enter the spare bedroom, guns hoisted up. Mira, Eli? They walk into the room and notice a pool of blood. Gary, call for backup. Gary leaves the room. The other cop has his flashlight on and looks over the room, which is covered in blood, black sludge, and the smell of earth. He looks at the big oak table. Old medicine bottles and silver coins reflect his light, and in the middle of the table, an old mason jar sits, covered in newly thick black wax. He looks into the jar and sees hair tied together, two human teeth that look like they were recently extracted, and in the middle of the jar, a finger, fresh, that looked like it had been bitten off, all covered in a thick black sludge. Okay, well, that was fun. It's also really creepy. And I remember when I had this dream and waking up from it, I was like, oh shit, like I could really turn this into something. And yeah, here it is. So, some treasures are just meant to stay buried. And maybe beneath the creek bed somewhere, there's still another jar waiting for someone curious enough to dig it up. I know I'm not going to fucking do that, so I suggest you not do it either. So, if you ever stumble across an old mason jar sealed in black wax and filled with dark water, do yourself a favor, leave it exactly where you found it, because not every treasure is meant to be taken home. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Tales from the Fairy. My name is Tanner, and if you enjoyed tonight's story, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe, leave a like, and share the podcast with someone who loves horror as much as you do. And if you ever had a paranormal experience or encountered something you still can't explain, or even have an urban legend you'd like me to cover, leave it down in the comments. I read every single one. So, until next time, everyone, sleep with the lights on, and whatever you do, don't open the jar.
Uns diz que teu tudinho faz lembrar-nos de mai. Amém.